Hey all, as always I am looking for a replacement to the Casio F-91W as my daily watch of choice. I recently saw something on sale that I thought I'd pick up. It is the F-201. The F-201, from the pictures I saw, I thought it was going to be a much bigger watch than it ended up being. So I bought it more for a size reference than an actual something that I thought would replace this. But it is not. It is not a very large watch at all. For scale, it fits in right with the F-91W. So that's great. Taking a step back, I am looking to find a perfect watch for me. Now, that's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, obviously. But for me, my purpose in this hobby, I guess, is not to collect as it is to find that end point. So once I find that watch, I'd be happily hanging up my hat and buying the last watch I've ever bought. But so I really view myself not as a collector of watches, even though I have a collection at this point, because it's the end point of finding a better watch or the perfect watch to wear. To be the replacement to the F-91W, I need a watch that is small, simple, and makes great use of screen real estate. Too many watches that are available on the market, most from the Casio lineup, really from most watch manufacturers lineup in the digital space, are massively bulky or overly complex, and they have complications and fidgets on the screen that have no utility. So this watch is rather interesting and hit a sweet spot that I didn't think that it was going to. And if you need a TLDR for this video, this is an improvement in every meaningful way over the F-91. And I don't say that lightly. I'm really blown away with how close this watch gets to perfection. So to start off with, I mentioned a watch has to be small. This watch is not much bigger than the F-91. It has the exact same width as does the F-91. It is a couple of millimeters longer top to bottom, but not in any major way. The thickness of this watch, the F-91 is a 8.5 millimeter watch, and the F-201 is a 10.5 millimeter. I can make that trade-off. That's still a very thin watch that can fit under my cuff that I usually wear, short cuff. But for that thickness and for that slice size increase, you really get something for that additional size. Starting off with, the numbers are significantly bigger. There's a lot of people that complain, especially they start to get my age, 45, that they start needing reading glasses to be able to read the numbers on the F-91. The F-201 numbers are maybe 20% larger, much more bold, way easier to see. The date and especially the day of the week and especially the date are much bigger on the F-201 than the F-91W. In addition, you get a 3-digit code. FRI, I think, is much easier to read than FR, and the fact that the month is there compared to just the day of the month is a great addition. And then you also add this additional row of numbers that relate to the other, from a complication standpoint, improvement, where there are 5 individual numbers. So really, in every way, this is an improvement. The size difference between this watch has by a couple of millimeters in height. There's almost twice the amount of screen real estate. So the superpower of this watch, if you were to give it a cape, would be its use of screen real estate. I do not believe there's a single other watch in Casio's lineup that comes close to how well the screen real estate of this watch is. This is incredibly efficient. This is just brutally good at how it displays information, better than anything else that Casio makes. The user interface of this watch, the F-201, is wonderful as well. It has the beeps on it are very loud. They also have the functionality where when you return to the home screen, it has an octave up on the beep. So at the home screen, it goes higher, 1 octave higher. The functions on this are great. They are not too complicated. It has a series of alarms. There are 5 independent alarms. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The alarms can be, and this is the hourly, how you set the hourly signal. The fact that there are 5 independent alarms means that you're not resetting the alarm every time you have to change the time, and that's a big time advantage. This is the time that I pick up my daughters from school. This is the time that I wake up. The other alarms, this is just an example of one that you can set for an individual date of the year. When you have a single alarm, like the unmodified W800H, the use of that changing this date to either 1 day a month or 1 day a year really goes away. You're gonna have some utility for that functionality. I don't even know who really uses this at all, but at least you can, meaning just beeping on the 16th or just beeping on March 16th. But from the purposes of having it there, at least you can bury it in alarm number 3, 4, 5, whatever. If it's your only alarm, I just can never see that being a useful feature. But because there are 5 here, we can give it to the bonus. That feature on here is just an overcomplication that I think hurts you more than helps you when you have a single alarm. Again, I know this can be modified to have 5 alarms. The fact that this has a timer is great. It does not have a preset timer, so you have to go through and mess with and futz with changing the number of minutes that are on this. Of course you can do that. I never get the buttons correct the first time. Obviously you can play around with it, but if somebody told you, right now change this to 10 minutes, you're looking at an investment of, let's call it 30 seconds at best, maybe even a minute of futzing around to change that, to modify this and to move over. I don't know which one it really advances on it. Is it the light button? I know the answer is no. Does this advance it? No, that moved it, but that maybe overshot. Too much time. So now I'm at 1 hour. I don't need that. I'm going to change it back to 15 minutes. The ability for that to change is just a little bit too complicated. Regardless, I don't find that much utility in a preset timer unless you're doing the exact same thing over and over again. The next function is a stopwatch. This still has split times, which I claim nobody uses. I hate that it is there, but there are very few watches that don't. You see, I'm still trying to reset it. I can never remember how to reset. Dual time also, I don't add it. I don't need that functionality. It's mostly an overcomplication. I deal with European clients. I'll just remember that it's 6 hours at that GMT is 6 hours in front of us thereabout. I still have to compare that with time zones online. It's just easier to look it up on my computer. I never need that at a glance. So the looking at this watch compared to the F-91, the buttons are shrouded in a piece of plastic that makes it very easy to press. I have never accidentally pushed this, but it could happen. Even wearing it on a wrist long periods of time, it could happen. but they are way more comfortable to press. That is an improvement over the F-91. Again, the screen real estate is an improvement to the F-91. Those complications that I don't use are something up, and the fact that there is an alarm, 5 alarms, I think that there is some utility there. This, I don't chalk it up, this next thing, I don't chalk up to being a true improvement over the F-91, but it is a luck and by happenstance. So if we look at the overall size of these two strap lengths, they're almost the same. And what I like about that is they are way smaller than are the W800, where you have big gaps in of overhanging watch band that you go with when you're this is going to be an extra 1.5 inch on, or at least 1 inch on your wrist. If you've got small wrists like I do, I hate seeing a flap of unused wristband on it. So it's nice being small. There is a common complaint amongst videos about Casio watches that the spacing between these holes is too great, that a watch is either too small or a watch setting is either too tight or too loose. This one, again, the W201, it has not solved that, but for me, it just so happens that if you line these watches up and you look at where the holes hit, they hit not directly over each other, where you can see the holes go through. They are, if you lined it up like it would sit on the watch, they hit at the interval point of the F-91. So this watch, the F-91, is either a little bit too loose or a little bit too tight. This one, just randomly from my wrist, if you have a slightly different wrist, this one might be perfect. But this one, the fit on this actually is a much more perfect fit at one of the hole combinations. So for me, as an N of 1, that is an improvement. Looking on the web in terms of the functionality of the F-201, it's kind of more of an interesting point of interest, but this watch uses module 3238, this extremely efficient screen real estate module. It used to use, if you find old versions of the F-201, it used to use module 2519. Now, module 2519 is a totally different module. You know, sometimes you'll have module upgrades where they're going to change the number of years supported by a calendar, that from a user standpoint, it doesn't change how it looks. But the 2519 module is the same module that is in the current A178. The A178, it's an interesting watch. I think it looks rather ugly with the screen real estate. The numbers are kind of far too big. There are no improvements in functionality that you see with this. It's just interesting that Casio kept the F-201 branding on a module that is kind of totally different. And it didn't have 5 alarms. The only thing similar is the case size, but I would not buy this used with the module 2519. It's a totally different watch. From a collectibility standpoint, if you're going to make, so I have, as shown on many videos, a ton of colorways of the F-91, many different vibrant colors that are fun to wear. This one doesn't have that same element of collectibility from a fun standpoint. I think there is 2 versions of a black, a gold, a silver, and a bronze, all kind of conservative. I don't know, you're not bringing it out on party night. So from a collectibility standpoint, this one's just a bit more conservative. Again, not a slight, as I'm really looking for a daily driver, a daily wearer. So this watch, is this a perfect watch? No, this is not a perfect watch. This is not my perfect watch. Excuse me. What this watch needs is what this watch has. This watch, the W-214, has a 1-button press timer on it that will set a timer for 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, 25, 20, and 30, and off. So remember how we have to change the timer on this? You have to go through this adjust and mess up standpoint. If you need this one, I've done a review on this watch, which I have called the perfect dad's watch. This watch, if I need a 3-minute timer, boom, that's it. I have the time it takes to set this for one of those preset intervals is infinitely faster than this. I suppose mathematically, not infinitely, but still much, much quicker, to the point where if somebody tells you, if the wife says, take the quiche out of the oven in 20 minutes, I can just do that on this watch without thinking about it. This one, I would have to set an actual timer, because I wouldn't go through and spend the 1 minute it would take to futz around with this timer. If you're doing something repeatedly that needs 15-minute timers, then by all means go ahead. But I make the claim that the timer functionality on this is infinitely more useful than the timer function on this, even though it has it. It does make, the other element about this watch being an improvement, I know I don't have so much of a problem about using the light function on this watch. The light function on the F-91, it's bright enough for me in pitch black. Some people harp on it as being the worst watch in the world because you can't see this in bright daylight, but usually I can see that. Just suffice it to say, I don't have any major complaints. I like how this one isn't that bright. The light on this one, I'm not going to be able to show it to you, but it's much, much better. It's not electroluminescent better, but you can definitely see all of the screen real estate. An improvement I'm not gonna short sell it. So in every way, the F-201 is a better watch than the F-91W, except for perhaps its horological significance. This watch is the most produced watch in the world. It's been around forever. I'm still kind of, from a museum standpoint, more proud to wear that watch than this watch, even though it's an upgrade in every way. It's really amazing. So back to, is that the perfect watch? No, it's better than the F-91 in all of those ways. To be the perfect watch for me, I really need to combine the preset timer of this and the screen layout of the 201. I also love how the light button on this one is on the front. I find that I'm never futzing around, so on some Casios it's here, some it's here, the F-91 it's there. I don't know if any button use the light combination on here, but by having this 3-button layout on the side of the 214 and the light up front, I'm never confused how to use this watch when I put it on. 4 buttons, yes, it's symmetrical, but it can get confusing about what button to press. So if I take the user interface of this, slap it in the shell of this with those same button readout, I mean, look at the size of those number differences. It's maybe this one might be 50% of the size of this. So as I get older, if I do need cheating glasses, reading glasses, this is going to be that much more useful than any of the others, just from the size of the numbers standpoint. So if you combine this with this, you would have my perfect watch. But right now, I'm kind of living in a situation where the perfect watch is in between this and this. Nobody's ever going to replace the horological significance of this. So have I found the perfect watch? No. Have I found a replacement? In many cases, yes. This is a great watch. And if you were starting out and wanted that small, perfect watch, then you didn't care about the horological significance of this, this is better in every way. It doesn't have the timer to make it the perfect watch. Anyhow, that's my thoughts. Have a great day.